A few moments, meditate on the Divine Supreme for peace and happiness of the whole mankind. Shanti Shanti Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Stapakaya Cha Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Stapakaya Cha Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namah. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma mritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us bow down to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been discussing Sri Ramakrishna's profound wisdom, teachings taken from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Why it is not possible for the people to take to spiritual path to realize God. Sri Ramakrishna has found out the reason. It is very simple. Though spiritual path by itself is not difficult, we have made the spiritual path difficult. How? Because of our cravings. We crave for the sensual pleasures of this world. We crave for land and property. We crave for wealth. So, as long as the mind is loaded with these cravings, it is really impossible to take up spiritual path. So, Sri Ramakrishna has clearly stated that land, lust and gold are the cause for all misery, for all sufferings and bondage, which keep away a person from spiritual path and God. In his own life we see how Sri Ramakrishna was struck about the dangers the people are facing in the world. If you study Sri Ramakrishna's life, you find how Sri Ramakrishna was very strict about money. There was a devotee by name Lakshmi Narayan, a businessman. He used to come to Sri Ramakrishna frequently. So he loved Vedanta And he loved Sri Ramakrishna's teachings, and he loved him. One day, during his visit, he saw a bed sheet on Sri Ramakrishna's bed in the room was not quite good. So immediately he said to Sri Ramakrishna, "Well, Master, I shall invest 10,000 rupees in your name. The interest will enable you to pay your expenses." As soon as Sri Ramakrishna heard this from him, Sri Ramakrishna fell unconscious, as if struck by a stick. When he regained his consciousness, he said to the devotee, "Well, if you utter such words again, you had better not come here. It's impossible for me to touch money. It's also impossible for me to keep the money near me." Then that devotee said, "Well, that means you too have the idea of acceptance and rejection. In that case, you have not attained perfect knowledge." Then Sri Ramakrishna replied him, "My dear sir, I haven't yet gone that far." All laugh. Lakshmi Narayan then wanted to leave the money with Hridaya, who was taking care of Sri Ramakrishna. Then Sri Ramakrishna said to him, "Well, that will not do. If you leave it with Hridaya, then I shall instruct him to spend it as I wish. If he does not comply, I shall be angry. The very contact of money is bad. No, you can't leave it with Hridaya." Then Sri Ramakrishna says, "Won't an object kept near mirror be reflected in it?" So he has clearly pointed out why people are in bondage. Who made them bound? It is their own cravings. They are clinging on to these unreal things of this world, clinging on to the pleasures, thereby losing the vigor of the mind. In Kathopanishad, there is the story of Nachiketas. It's a famous Upanishad. Nachiketas goes to Yama, the god of death. That's a big story. I don't want to go to the details of the story. But he was a young person, full of vigor and vitality, who followed strictly a life of celibacy. So because of his so much of noble qualities, he developed spiritual power by which he could ascend to the abode of God, of death. So when Yama found him in his home, he offered him 3 boons. For this third boon, Nachiketas seeks a clarification of the true position regarding man's state after death. In other words, Nachiketas demanded the knowledge of self. Which knowledge is the means for the highest consummation? Lord of Death did not yield to him immediately. He put him into test. He tried to tempt Nachiketas to ask not for hard and subtle wisdom, but for more tangible and immediate gain. Vranishva vittam chirajivikancha. Ask for wealth and long life. But Nachiketas refused to be tempted, and he wisely declared, Navittena tarpaniyo manushyaha. Nachiketas said, man is not to be satisfied with wealth. So he stuck to his demand and got from Yama the knowledge he was seeking for. There's another story in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad that's also very famous and relevant. Maitreyi, a very learned and highly qualified woman, she asked Yajnavalkya, the great Maharshi, who was her own husband, who was a Brahmagyani, who had realized the absolute reality. So, Yajnavalkya came to her and offered her wealth. Then Maitreyi, a very learned and full of wisdom, she asked him whether even if this whole earth replete with wealth be hers, it will make her immortal. And Yajnavalkya Maharshi replied, no. Amritatvasya tu nashasti vitte neti. There is no prospect of immortality through wealth. Then immediately Maitreyi, the great woman, retorted and said, Yenaham namratasyam kimaham tena kuryam. What shall I do with that through which I cannot be immortal? In this case also, the rejection of wealth is followed by the imparting by the husband and the receiving by the wife of high wisdom. The point is, wealth distracts a person. It doesn't keep the mind of the person who is attached to the wealth. It doesn't keep such man's mind on God. He'll be always thinking about money, and he is not satisfied. He wants to have more and more of it. In that process, the whole life is gone. So, if a person is really aspiring for spiritual path, if he is really aspiring for the realization of God, certainly he should be free from the cravings of properties and lust and wealth. So it's all, the ideas are very clear. So the mind should be made clear. Then only you will be able to concentrate well and realize God. In the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna said, what is needed to realize God? And Sri Ramakrishna gives a very simple, effective answer, possible to be followed by anybody who wants to see God. Sri Ramakrishna said in the Gospel, the point is to love God even as the mother loves her child, the chaste wife her husband, and the worldly man his wealth. Add together these three forces of love, these three powers of attraction, and give it all to God. Then you will certainly see Him. Sri Ramakrishna also said another point, God is under the control of his devotees. An episode is there in Mahabharata when Lord Krishna came to Hastinapur in order to negotiate peace plan to avoid imminent war between Kauravas and Pandavas. King Duryodhan had made elaborate arrangements to receive Lord Krishna, and he wanted to show his pomp and luxury to Krishna. So, when Lord Krishna came there, King Duryodhan said to him to come for dinner to his palace. But Lord Krishna went to Vidura's cottage. Vidura was a great devotee who was living in a cottage. Lord Krishna was pleased to go to his cottage rather than take hospitality in the palace of King Duryodhan. It only showed how Sri Krishna was fond of his devotees. He ate Vidura's simple rice and grains as if they were celestial food. Sometimes God acts as the magnet and the devotee as the needle. God attracts the devotee to himself. Again, sometimes the devotee acts as the magnet and God as the needle. Such is the attraction of the devotee that God comes to him, unable to resist his love. Of all the forces of attraction operating in the universe, the strongest is that between deity and devotee. It's also the purest and the most benevolent force. There's a holy hymn in Rigveda giving expression to the ardor of longing for the divine. Gava iva gramam yudhira iva ashvan vashreva vatsam sumana duhana patiriva jayam abhino nyetu dharta divaha savita vishwavaraha. The meaning is, like kine to the village, like warriors to steeds, like loving milk cows to calf, like husband to wife, may the deity Savita, upholder of the heavens and Lord of all bliss, turn towards us. The deity-devotee pull is a two-way affair. The Bhakta and the Bhagavan, the devotee and the Lord, gravitate each towards the other. So, one has to maintain the qualities of a devotee. Then you will be able to attract God towards yourself. You don't have to run towards God. God himself he runs towards you. Once you become qualified in every respect, once you prove yourself to be a pure devotee, then God himself comes and manifests in your heart. Next wisdom, Sri Ramakrishna said in the Gospel. All these points are very inspiring and useful for our spiritual life. Sri Ramakrishna said, if you can find out the nature of Maya, the universal illusion, it will leave you just as a thief runs away when detected. As a cloud covers the sun, so Maya hides the deity. When the cloud moves away, the sun is seen again. When Maya is removed, God becomes manifest. God is intimately mixed up with Maya. Ordinary men cannot see him apart from Maya. Only the Paramahamsa, an awakened soul, can reject Maya and reach God in his purity. Swami Vivekananda, the great disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, said, Maya is a statement of the fact of this universe, of how it is going on. Maya is not a theory for the explanation of the world. It is simply a statement of facts as they exist. So, as long as we are clinging on to the worldly things, that means we are under the control of the Maya. We are under the influence of delusion. As long as we are under this influence, we are bound. Another wisdom Sri Ramakrishna has said, to explain God after merely reading the scriptures is like explaining to another person the city of Benares after seeing it only in a map. Then again Sri Ramakrishna said, the intoxication of hemp is not to be had by repeating the word hemp even 1,000 times. Get some hemp, pound it with water into a solution and drink it. You will then get really intoxicated. Speaking of the supreme value of real realization and felt experience, Swami Vivekananda says in his inspired talk on My Master, Swamiji said, is there any reality in religion? This skepticism comes to the Hindu child. It is a skepticism of our country. Is this that we are doing real? And theories will not satisfy us, although there are ready at hand almost all the theories that have ever been made with regard to God and soul. Neither books nor theories can satisfy us. The one idea that gets hold of thousands of our people is this idea of realization. Can I realize the truth? From the earliest times, there have been persons who have given up all comforts and luxuries in order to realize this idea. Not to know in the ordinary sense of the world, not intellectual understanding, not a mere rationalistic comprehensions of the real thing, not mere groping in the dark, but intense realization, much more real than this world is to our senses. In another address, Swami Vivekananda says, religion does not consist in talk or doctrines or books, but in realization. It is not learning, but being. Very famous statement. How true it is. There is a verse in Maitreya Upanishad. All these Upanishads are taken from the Vedas, which contain profound truths. Anubhutim vina mudho vrasa brahmani modate patibimbata shakagra phalasvadana modayat. The point that the verse strives to drive home to us is that realization is the thing that matters in religious culture. The fool, void of personal experience and actual realization, vainly imagines that he enjoys Brahman, the infinite. And the verse provides a very apt illustration. On the bank of a lake are many fruit trees. The branches of the trees bear luscious fruits, but the fruits are all high up and are quite difficult of reach. The fruits and branches are clearly reflected in the waters of the lake. A fool tries to enjoy the taste of the fruits by biting the reflection, the image seen in the water. Will he ever get any idea of the sweetness of the fruits that way? There is another Upanishad which explains what is realization, factual experience. The name of the Upanishad is called Varaha Upanishad. It says, Asti Brahmeti Chedveda Parokshajnanameva Tat Aham Brahmeti Chedveda Sakshatkara Sauchyate. If one knows that Brahman is, there is only immediate knowledge. If one knows I am Brahman, that is said to be immediate experience. So how, in a very simple way, all the spiritual ideas are given by Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel. If we really study them with desire to realize God in this life, then everything is there. Just we have to practice sincerely. Then we will be able to see God in this very life. So without wasting time in other things, let us concentrate upon cultivating spiritual qualities in our life. And to be religious, that is, to practice the spiritual values in life. That's the way. Then you will be able to cross Maya. You will be able to draw God to your heart, and you will enjoy immense peace and bliss. You will realize your immortal nature. Then you realize you are never bound. Page 732. Giri said to Narendra, how do you know that God does not assume a human body? Narendra answered, God is beyond words or thought. Master said, no, that is not true. He can be known by the pure buddhi, which is the same as the pure self. The seers of old directly perceived the pure self through their pure buddhi. Girish asked Narendra, unless God himself teaches men through his human incarnation, who else will teach them spiritual mysteries? God takes a human body to teach men divine knowledge and divine love. Otherwise, who will teach? Narendra, why God dwells in our own heart? He will certainly teach us from within the heart. Master said tenderly, yes, he will teach us as our inner guide. Gradually, Narendra and Girish became involved in a heated discussion. If God is infinity, how can he have parts? What did Hamilton say? What were the views of Herbert Spencer, of Tyndall, of Huxley, and so forth and so on? Master said to him, I don't enjoy these discussions. Why should I argue at all? I clearly see that God is everything. He himself has become all. I see that whatever he is God. He is everything again. He is beyond everything. I come to a state in which my mind and intellect merge in the indivisible. At the sight of Narendra, my mind loses itself in the consciousness of the Absolute. To Girish, Sri Ramakrishna said, what do you say to that? Girish said with a smile, why ask me? As if I understood everything except that one point. All laugh. Master said, again, I can't utter a word unless I come down at least 2 steps from the plane of Samadhi. Shankara's non-dualistic explanation of Vedanta is true, and so is the qualified non-dualistic interpretation of Ramanuja. Narendra asked, "What is qualified non-dualism?" Master said, "It is the theory of Ramanuja. According to this theory, Brahman or the Absolute is qualified by the universe and its living beings. These three, Brahman, the world, and living beings, together constitute one. Take the instance of a bell fruit. A man wanted to know the weight of the fruit. He separated the shell, the flesh, and the seeds. But can a man get the weight by weighing only the flesh? He must weigh flesh, shell, and seeds together. At first it appears that the real thing in the fruit is the flesh, and not its seeds or shell. Then by reasoning you find that the shell, seeds, and flesh all belong to the fruit. The shell and seeds belong to the same thing that the flesh belongs to. Likewise, in spiritual discrimination, one must first reason, following the method of neti, neti, not this, not this. God is not the universe. God is not the living beings. Brahman alone is real and all else is unreal. Then one realizes, as with the bell fruit, that the reality from which we derive the notion of Brahman is the very reality that evolves the idea of living beings and the universe. The Nitya and the Leela are the two aspects of one and the same reality. Therefore, according to Ramanuja, Brahman is qualified by the universe and the living beings. This is the theory of qualified non-dualism. To M. Sri Ramakrishna said, "I do see God directly. What shall I reason about? I clearly see that He Himself has become everything, that He Himself has become the universe and all living beings." So stop here. Any questions to ask? No question? And we shall stop. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drowned deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord. In each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue. The playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day, when an instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence. Though it tears my soul asunder, O thou who stealest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be subjected to noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, May the freed make others free. May good betide all people. May the sovereign righteously rule the earth. May all beings ever attain what is good. May the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time. May the earth be blessed with crops. May holy countries be freed from calamity. May holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all secret works be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.